Okay, welcome back, folks. So, sorry about the delay here. I was looking through part 1 to just make sure the recording was good, and I noticed a couple of things. One, the sound mixing was way off. You could hear me just fine, but the game sound was muted. Unfortunately, that's an issue I'm going to be having right now because my mic and Hypercam, the way they interact with each other, I cannot record the computer sound and my voice at the same time. Sorry. Also, a certain quirk of my own. Anything touching my face for more than a couple of seconds, and I tend to get hiccups. Which goes into issue 2 that I think corrected. I heard a little bit of static in the recording, and I noticed my microphone was very close to my face in that one. So, and I'm recording just after work. So I have raised Gillette stock a little bit and repositioned my mic, and hopefully that'll fix at least one of those issues. So moving on, now that we've captured the power chips from Gutsman and Bomberman, we can move on to our third master, Cutman. And let's do this. So some trivia for Cutman. He's actually a deforestation and logging robot intended to help reclaim areas and also can assist with some demolition projects. Also, at least according to the original comics, he shares the basic chassis that Rock and by extension Mega Man do. Meaning this is probably almost as close as you're going to get to a rival battle in the series. That said, Cutman's abilities are far different from my own. Oh, come on. These turrets are really starting to irritate me. Yeah, nothing special here. I missed a chance to show off Gutsman's weapon, but I'll have another chance. Okay, I'm pretty sure that shouldn't have hit me. I'm looking for some new enemies. Oh yeah, since these turrets never shoot behind them, if you can get past fast enough, they'll stop being a threat. Otherwise, patience is your best friend. Now, I'm not sure if those cutter there actually count as enemies, given they're indestructible, but they're a unique feature for this level. Oh, here we are. So, from Gutsman, we got access to the Guts arm, and you'll see how that block started flashing. Apparently, Mega Man lifts. So, let's see. Aim that about there. Yeah, these enemies here are called Susies. They were in Bombman's area, but I bypassed them very quickly and didn't talk about them. They take a handful of buster shots and just patrol back and forth, either horizontally or vertically. Not particularly dangerous, but they tend to come in numbers. Luckily, if you've got an area with a weapon with good area coverage, you can take out several of them at once. Well, I was hoping for that to be more than 2, but at least it cleared my path. Ow. Oh, hey, a little bit of health. Doesn't make up what you took from me, but... Yeah, weird thing, this game has more vertical stages than a lot of games in the series, even though vertical stages are not the original game's forte. That gets a lot better in some later installments, or later chapters, really, of the franchise. Okay, and moving on. Also, the levels are, for the most part, fairly barren. Despite there being a lot of enemies, most of them can be bypassed. They're really more obstacles that happen to move, except for these guys who turn aggressive. And also, as you might have noticed with me clearing out 2 masters in under 10 minutes last time, the stages are pretty short, but that's just more a sign of the times. This was the late 80s, video games had just come back from the crash of 83, and really, Capcom took a big chance with this game. Mega Man could have bombed horribly, no pun intended. Die. he's not dying. I need you to die. Die, please. Oh, boy. Yeah, I should have just run. This is going to make this fight a little tricky. Let's see if I can scrounge up a little bit of health here. No, no, not ammo. I said not ammo. Not point trophies. I need health. Okay. Or I can just try to fight Cutman with just 1 hit worth of damage. Let's go for it. So, who here's played rock, paper, scissors? You'll notice they couldn't have made his weakness more obvious if they tried, and I don't know what just happened there. He glitched. Actually glitched a couple of times. Okay, so this just made the fight a little more interesting, but perfectly beatable. Something that just didn't show up earlier. Now, you notice from the 1 hit I did get on him, that took half of his health off in 1 blow. So 2 guts blocks will finish Cutsman off. Unfortunately, the blocks do not respawn, and I'm left fighting with a Buster that does 2 or, well, I'll call it 2.5 points of damage. It seems to be alternating between 2 and 3. As you can see, he's not very dangerous, and in fact, a lot of strategy guides and players will tell you to fight him first. There's a specific reason I started with Bomberman and I'm going around the circle like this, and you'll see now. So that only took about 5 minutes, so we can move on to the next enemy. However, he happens to be that one robot master. Ladies and gentlemen, Elecman. Considered probably the most difficult of the Robot Master bosses, and also, despite this game in general having more vertical stages than the rest of the series, this stage in particular is very vertical. I believe we are climbing a power plant, so this is probably one of the silos. The games just don't go into much detail on backstory like that. And something I just tended to avoid those spikes before, but they are actually invulnerable. Most weapons will only stun them momentarily. The spinning cutter or rolling cutter can destroy them. Each Mega Man game has an enemy like that. They patrol the ground. They're mostly invincible with 1 or 2 weapons that can kill them. And then those electrical hazards. Now, these things I find irritating. They will fly until they're on your level and then fire out 2 beams. If there's only 1 or 2 of them, you can space yourself between the beams as I was trying to do. Otherwise, one trick is to use the cutter and try to aim at the lower bar, and you should hit the main body because it arcs in a circle. And here's the first incarnation of Yoku, or Vanishing Blocks. If you want to see Rage, ask a veteran Mega Man player about these things. Actually, what I need to do is this. Also, just knowing where the blocks are does not help, because they don't physically exist when they're invisible. So yeah, what I'm going to do here is pick up a little bit of health, and if I'm very careful, I can actually still get out of the room this way instead of having to backtrack. Sorry, did I say health? I meant ammo. Nope, missed that jump. Yeah, that jump's really tricky, even knowing you can do it. And this is what you are supposed to do. And as you can see, the ammo there respawned when I left the screen. This is important for a specific area later on. And moving forward once more. That is really tempting, being at half health, but at least I'm still alive, so no. Now, I can climb the inside or outside of the tower. I don't recall specifically it mattering Oh, hey, 1-up. Yeah, that's the one pickup that they're not overly generous with in this one. Yeah, given I can destroy these things but can't do anything about the beams, I think I chose wisely. Especially since they were nice enough to give me some refills. Okay. Now, it doesn't look it, but in this room actually is where the inside and outside kind of come together, because that block there you can move with the guts arm. You can tell because it's animated slightly different than the rest. And this is the reason I needed to play in the order I did. Or at the very least, needed to beat Gutsman before I came here. I get rid of these blocks and get the magnet beam. This is not only a useful tool, it is literally essential to beat the game. So if I wasn't able to pick it up right now, I'd have to backtrack. Also, and a nifty little glitch. You might have noticed that when I unpause, Mega Man actually teleports back in. That actually comes with invincibility frames. And while it's not something I ever have done, I know there are certain people, especially those who are really dedicated to no damage runs, who will use those frames to avoid hits they otherwise couldn't. It's a nifty trick. It's pretty effective when you can do it. My timing is not that good, and I've never found it that necessary. And right there, you may have noticed once in a while, this really just, I think, goes back to hardware limitations. They only have so much memory space. They'll reuse a room and just alter what's in it. Oh, hi, big guy. Oh, well, he apparently decided to dispose of himself. Okay, I do not like the idea of taking a dive, but I'm going to be upfront with y'all. I'm not gonna win this with 2 health. Lake Man takes off about a quarter of your health bar per shot, at least. I think even more than that. And it is almost impossible to beat him without taking at least 1 hit. Oh, although I did manage to get through the shock hazards. Those guts blocks there are a lie. The guts arm does hurt him, but not enough to be worth it. Oh, I thought I was about to pull off a miracle. Okay, so I wasn't able to win, but you might have noticed, since the spinning cutter is a boomerang, it can theoretically hit him twice in 1 throw, which is what I did. Had I been able to dodge that shot, I would have been able to prove myself wrong and actually kill him without taking a hit. Unfortunately, I couldn't. But now we're going back with full health, and I only need to hit him 3 times versus the 4 I believe he needs on me. And I can actually double tap. So I'm suddenly liking my odds. Again, just more trivia, not really relevant to the game. In the manga Mega Man Megamix, Mega Man was actually unable to hit Elect Man at all because of his speed without the rolling cutter. Once he did, because it just sliced right through his armor, he was pretty much able to one-shot him. The game version is not extreme about that either way. He is perfectly fightable with the Mega Buster, but, well, it's not the Mega Buster yet. Let's see. 2 Robot Masters in Part 1. I know I've got a little bit more time, but let's see. You know what? I'm going to try for Iceman as number 5 and see if I can get through this on 1 run. That'll just leave me with the Doorman and then Wily himself. Okay, now earlier you might recall that I said Mega Man doesn't have ice physics. Well, Mega Man doesn't, but this stage does. I also see palm trees and what looks like sand dunes in the background. So my guess would be that our little Arctic researcher has decided to try out his new combat powers by freezing the beach. So, yeah, you know, Iceman, that's really not called for. Gonna have to teach you your lesson, young man. Yeah, actually, with their original personalities, both in the comic and in the games, especially during Mega Man Powered Up with their redesigns, Iceman is actually the nicest of Dr. Light's robots. Except for maybe Mega Man himself, and even that's debatable. Oh boy. I am just getting stomped on here. I swear the game heard me say I could do one more and it's going to prove me wrong. And... Hey guys, you are... Okay, I shouldn't have slid that much. What happened? Did I double tap the control? I must have double tapped the control. That's the only way that would have happened. I should not have slid that much from 2 steps. Yeah. These guys, I don't know their name. I just kind of call them obnoxious. You want to go for a headshot because they're actually 2 enemies at once. And if you shoot the legs out, the body and head will just fly after you. And they are persistent. You may have noticed that if they get a certain distance away, instead of just going off screen, they will loop back around after you. I really wish I could get y'all to hear the music, because actually Iceman has one of the better songs in the first game. There we go. I'm not hurt near as bad as I was before, but I'm still going to grab that health, because this level does not like to play nice at all. Oh, jeez. And now my ear's starting to itch. And, of course, it's the one under my headset. Oh, hey, Yoku blocks in this room again. You know what? I could bypass this room, but these blocks aren't bad. But I am going to get to show the magnet beam off in this stage. Or maybe I could break it out right here. Jeez. Okay, I am out of practice, but that's no excuse. I am just really failing here. And there we go. Now, this is potentially the first boss that I could show off a certain rather infamous trick with, but I'm going to try to beat him fair. Ugh. Okay, now I got 2 options here. One is I can try to beat this section legitimate, which I really would like to, or I can try to cheat. I'm going to play legit, even though this is my last life, and I really shouldn't be doing things that might get me killed. Because, hey, why not? I'm sure if I tried to do it the easy way, I'd somehow screw that up anyhow. Yeah, these enemies, as you notice, are actually platforms, but you need to be careful because you can't... They fire, and those bullets do, in fact, harm you. Oh, and now we have flying penguins. Because why don't we? Because why wouldn't we have flying penguins? I want this thing to fly up so I can... Thank you! Wow. Not gonna lie, I didn't think I was gonna make that. No. Stay back, bird. Oh, health and ammo. What weapons need ammo? Probably not going to need this for the rest of the game, but... Or, well, the rest of this level. Now, actually, the rolling cutter is one of the better weapons in the game. Now for Elec Beam. That was supposed to be far more effective than that, but at least I took him down. Okay, so here comes... And now the Iceman cometh. Well, after I deal with some of his pet birds. So, as I'm sure the pattern has been apparent now, weakness weapons kill robot masters very quickly in this game. Iceman goes down in 3 hits. The problem is, he also kills you in 3 hits, and his weapon is not easy to avoid. Whew. Thank you, invincibility frames. Okay, so that brings us to a little bit past 10 minutes here. So I'm going to cut part 2 off now. We basically have Fireman as the doorman left. and then Dr. Wiley himself. So I will see you shortly.